Okay. I was going to say.
That's not a priggy you had.
I'm really angry about that.
Oh, my
Why the fuck is trigger you in my intro?
Because last week when you asked me to make an intro, when we talked about making an intro, your entire stream was about PragerU and environmentalness. So I need
But
you.
this one is not.
Sorry,
okay.
I don't make you a personal interview for every single episode. I apologize.
I just didn't know why you used
No, that's fine. No, that's fine.
I'm not trying hard enough.
Oh, you left. That's fine. Well, anyway, welcome everyone. Sorry, as
Dr.
normal,
Hobbs is just blown away. No idea he's like a fucking domestic.
Welcome everyone. Tonight we are just going to have some fun again and look at some anti-vaxxer memes and posts and stuff like that. So let's say hello to everyone on the panel, starting with Dr. Stephen Hobbs. How you doing? Tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm the doctor on Twitter, Dr. Stephen Hobbs. I study sciences, really, all of them. Pick one.
Yes.
That's me.
Which makes him, an expert on pretty much everything. So we like having him around. But tonight's thing we actually put together specifically because I knew Dr. Hobbs had this, the time to come do it this weekend. And I knew that anti-vaxxing was a good subject for you. Because, you work.
Broke is what you want to see.
Yeah. Right. But you work in virology in real life, so.
Immunology more than anything.
Immunology, sorry.
That's okay.
Get
No
it
worries.
right, Manda. Get it right.
I
Get
know.
started. Come on. You thought you had to research this stuff.
Just research. We'll stick with research.
But-
Can't go into that.
Dr. Hobbs has been a professor of chemistry and biology and physics. Like, he really does know his stuff. So we like having him around. So welcome. Thank you for coming, Dr. Hobbs. Brian, BrainBug, your turn.
I am not a doctor of anything. So. But I play with bugs on camera and talk about science. So that's something I do.
That's awesome.
And
Brian is an unwritten expert in evolution. It is his passion. He researches an awful lot on it. He has more young Earth creationist fucking books in science than any of us here because he knows the enemy. Not only does he read our stuff, he reads their stuff as well. He's very educated. He's undercrediting himself.
Yeah,
I have one to send to you.
He can also take over for me. He knows quite a bit about climate change as well. So,
I
but
do. Yeah.
people, he is very close to 500 subs. So if you aren't subbed to him, everybody's info is in my description. Please go sub to Brian. He's amazing. So it's not just bugs, trust me. So if bugs ain't your thing, it's still a lot of other stuff. So please
My
go.
last video was about sharks. So I
Yeah,
talked all
see?
kinds of stuff.
Was that the one with Matt Powell?
No, it was Indiana Joe. He's
Oh, okay. Oh no, Matt Powell one was dinosaur farts. So
Okay, everybody take a breath. We're all going to vanish for a second. And we're back. There you go.
Dave, Critical Cripple, what about you?
Oh, I spent most of my time annoying you and arguing with people on Twitter.
Yeah, Dave and Robbie are always here, and Matt and Brian too. So just everybody knows everybody. Okay, so let's start. We are going to look at some. What? Robbie, you were literally always on my channel.
Not anymore! Not anymore!
Okay,
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. Go
MathPig.
ahead, Manda. Sorry, your channel. And what we're doing tonight, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Who are
If
you?
you want to keep up on what's new in the secular community, subscribe to MathPig because pretty much everybody new comes through his channel first and introduces themselves and gets to talk a little bit about what they're bringing to the community. So subscribe to MathPig.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Brian. Appreciate
And
it.
we only pick the cool people too. So yeah.
I
Just
don't know. I found you.
okay. So as I was saying, it's fine. We're gonna just look at some bad anti-vax content. I found some things that were, fighting against anti-vax. I found some things that were actual anti-vax, and other people found things. But we'll just look and laugh and point like we usually do. And we have Dr. Hobbs here to tell us why they're scientifically wrong. So go ahead, Robbie. Bring something up. Doesn't matter.
Oh, yes, sorry. Crack that whip, woman. Crack that whip. There you go.
I'm thinking that Robbie needs a soundboard.
I'm thinking we need one.
I have a deck board, but unfortunately the wee sucker thing's gone in the bottom, and every time I try and use it, it falls over, and yeah.
Because you could just clip some of the things Amanda says and just play them.
Okay, right. Well, hold on while I'm absolutely useless and not worth mentioning. I'll do the producing here. We'll move over to the reaction scene. There we are. Looks better. So, love you, Amanda. Love you.
Mm-hmm.
Where is all these tabs?
You've closed them, haven't you?
There we go. No, I can't. There's that many.
Beach said that the latest thing they've heard about from the anti-vaxxers is that it's messing with women's periods. Do you have anything to say to that, Stephen?
Oh God, no! What? How does that work?
I have no idea, but apparently that's a new one.
That's gonna make my head hurt.
So, honey, this whole stream is gonna make your head hurt. I'm sorry, but we're so happy you're here. Okay.
I mean, honestly, I would listen to their argument if they had anything at all. But it's just a claim. Normally, all of these are just claims. Like, I know a friend of a friend of a friend. It was. If you will allow me, harken back to 2001, when September 11th happened. Like 50 different people were dating this person. Like, but it was a friend of my friend of my friend. But no one ever had any names. No one knew anything about it. Why is there no truth in anything that they claim? They just make shit up and then expect us to buy it. And I don't want to do that.
Personal testimony, man. The idea of it is they have experienced something, they have the story that they want to tell, and personal testimony is that powerful to that person. When they tell it to another person that's been through a personal testimony, they both agree how strong it is. They then talk to a skeptic, and the skeptic goes, "That's a personal testimony, that's not evidence." And they're like, "But like, if you were there, if you experienced," it's bullshit.
Yeah. You weren't there. How do you know?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that in a chat today. Somebody talked about fucking the creation of the earth, and I was like, "Were you there? Do you know?"
Well, and it's the same with the Jesus argument. Is that they'll try to say, "Well, were you there for Lincoln?" But you know he exists. It's like, okay, that irks. So this one says that they say Prince Philip took the vaccine 2 weeks before he died unexpectedly. Yeah, I'm good with that. This dude died unexpectedly. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the fact that he was how old? 96, Dave?
He was 99.
99.
Lord.
I mean, he was old.
Yeah. Look at him. He looks like he's dead already.
That particular picture is old though. It's not from this last week.
Yeah, he looked far worse than that.
Yeah, I think this. I think this one was when he left hospital a wee while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Surgery. I mean, this is it.
In the hospital bed.
The vaccination killed him. The surgery and subsequent infection that he got, that he was in and out of hospital with. No, that didn't kill him.
No, it was the vaccine
that killed him. Yeah.
And let's not forget, too, that, you put this up, even if something like this were true, if somebody did, one person out of millions and millions and millions died from the vaccine. Like, it's such a rabbit hole to go down. But
is it because their bodies reject the microchip, or it can't assimilate them?
You can't handle the microchip, so gotta toss that shit out.
They're working on analog, and the vaccine is digital.
Right. You can kind of tell by looking at him, he's working on analog. It's really clear now that you mentioned it.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Rob. You can get the next one.
Oh, sorry, it's not like I was.
Please.
Now, Victor Pope Jr., he was the Viner, so he's got a huge following. That scares me.
Yeah, that's one of the things, that people like Jenny McCarthy and stuff. like, we're talking about an MTV VJ is all. She was one of the starters of the recent anti-vax movement. She's one of the big celebrities that has really been, just talking about it for years and years because her kid is autistic, and somehow, she went online, I'm sure, or found some kind of misinformation somewhere that suggested to her that vaccines cause autism, and boom, she believes and spreads it to millions of other people. It's fucking dangerous.
Absolutely.
Oh. This one says a lot of y'all can't tell the difference between science, and it shows. Who found this one? Brian?
Yeah, this came from a anti-vax group that or anti-vax or vaccine debate group that I'm in. That's not all they debate there. There's also a lot of anti-mask stuff, and I like to throw myself in the trenches. I don't know why I hate myself so much.
I was gonna say,
I have a question.
Yeah.
If this was to make money, right? Why not release the virus after they have a vaccine? Why spend a year of people dropping dead?
The conspiracy was that they needed it to last long enough to make people believe it was to create fear. That they had the vaccine from the beginning, and that China was sitting on the vaccine, and that Fauci was in on it and stuff. It's really
wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
More people would have taken the vaccine if we hadn't had 12 months of anti-vax bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, yes. And there was an article that was released today that most of the people who are becoming anti-vax having to do with COVID are Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
We all know, but I don't know if the general public knows that.
Mm-hmm.
It's spread in areas that were very highly Trump supporter.
I'm shocked that you would say that.
I mean, you see, there was a study. It came onto Twitter about 3 or 4 days ago that it was the most likely group to not take the vaccine up was about 40% white evangelical.
I need a Twitter post to tell me that. Like.
Yeah. Well, the most anti-science of them all. So they don't trust the science. They don't understand any of it. And it's easy for them to read something stupid and kind of think, oh, well, that makes sense to me. So
this meme right here, like honestly, anybody who's been in science long enough knows. I mean, a grant is great. Yeah, it's wonderful, but you're getting, $100,000 over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really banking.
No,
buy me a Valentine's Day present. Bitch, be broke like.
Yes, I am a single mom, but I'm still a scientist. I don't make dick. We really don't. We're not raking in the cash. So,
you're going to make a living, but you're going to die early from the stress that it creates.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially in sciences like ours, where we have to fight against so much of, the anti-science and the disbelief out there. So
it is absolutely amazing to me that every generation has to relearn the same stuff over and over and over.
Yeah, and it just keeps happening. It's cycle keeps repeating. Okay, Robbie, go ahead. You can.
Sorry, I'm not doing anything. Going ahead there. I'm moving in. Wait till Next one.
Okay. Brian, did you send this? Go ahead and read it.
It's the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was done between 1932 and 1972 by the U.S. Public Health Service in Macon County, Alabama. The main purpose of this experiment was to observe the natural progression of untreated syphilis in rural African American men. This was done under the guise of receiving free health care from the United States government. So this is just fear-mongering. And yes, this did happen. It was a terrible thing that happened, and it went on for way too long. And there's really not much more to be said about it. But you cannot assume that every public health measure is the next Tuskegee experiment. It's just not you can't go through life that way.
No, this one. I can feel my pulse.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. When I teach about this, I try to teach what led up to it and how long and why and who were all involved, because they prevented everybody from getting treatment for it. If it was in their family, they couldn't have treatment, knowing full well that the treatment was successful in every way. Mm-hmm. So after they found the treatment, what should have happened, and this is why we have the regulations that we have now, what should have happened was once you found out that the experimental group was getting better completely, they should have been given the drug. And in this case, they allowed it to spread willingly. Not only willingly, but I guess maliciously. They wanted it to spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But again, like Brian says, it's fear mongering, and they're picking something that has no connection whatsoever. It's not relevant at all to what we're going through at the moment. They're just kind of cherry picking little details to say, look, see this, something almost similar. It's an illness, and therefore we need to be scared and not believe anybody.
Right. And that's where a lot of conspiracy comes from. Conspiracy normally, and you can please correct me if you guys are better at this than I am. I expect you to be. A conspiracy starts showing up when one person makes a claim that is unchecked and another person builds on it.
Yeah.
So
very true.
When this, it's a small amount of truth. Yes, you can mention Tuskegee experiment. Understand that. It's part of history. Nobody can get rid of that, unfortunately. But when we add that to something like COVID, oh yeah, I heard this, and then I heard this, and then it spreads on Facebook exponentially in every direction, small bits of truth here or there, just enough so that people say, oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
About that. So
exactly.
That part must be true. And then I heard on Facebook, and then it spreads among their group. But no one ever checks them. Very few of us go through life where our best friends are checking us.
That's true.
Well, anything that conflicts can be written off as fake news in the current climate anyway. If it doesn't agree with your conspiracy, it's fake news. You can move right on.
You don't know everything.
I am so glad, really and truly. I have not heard that phrase in probably the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I know, right?
I am so happy.
Until now, until we put that back in your head. So.
It's okay.
Robbie, go ahead. We can turn to the next one, please.
Every fucking time, every time. Right. Next one. There we go.
Brian, did you send this one?
Yeah, this is all going to be Brian until I tell you any different, honey.
There was going to be allergic reactions.
Yeah.
Every even not the vaccine itself. Every
soap.
I forgot the word. What?
I was actually. I actually put this one in there because I couldn't find the one I was looking for about the blood clotting, but just the general bad reactions. I would like to see a cross section of a survey comparing how many people had under the percentage of the population that got vaccinated that had the blood clotting issue, contrasted with that demographic of that age group, women over, I think it was women over 50, like almost all the cases were. It might have been over 30, but I'm not sure about that. I have to look into it. But I'd like to see a cross section of those two groups and their reactions to injections in general, whether they have a high prevalence for blood clotting in general.
Who was it that cancelled the vaccination due to the blood clots now that they're not pushing it forward? Was it America?
Netherlands, I believe.
Netherlands, yeah. I thought it was America. I seen something on Twitter earlier about, X amount of people with the blood clots, we must now stop the vaccine. X amount of people killed with guns in this last month. Sure, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no lockdown, just keep spreading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 6 people out of 6.8 million, I believe, was the last numbers I looked at for that. So.
Oh, was it? Because I thought it was 4 out of 5 million, but still, that's
1 in a million.
That's less than 1 in a million. So, and Angel brought up that exact thought today, because he asked me what we were streaming about tonight, and then we were talking about gun violence, and he was like, "There's, it's never the time to talk about it, but let's freak out about a very small amount of people getting these blood clots from the vaccine, but we've had more people die in mass shootings this month than have been days." Yeah. So
well, the way that you deal with gun violence, the way our government deals with gun violence is, it's too soon after the event for us to talk about it now. Let's give these people time to mourn. And then why are you bringing this up that we just got over it? And then it's like, we don't want to talk about this because it hasn't happened in a few weeks. And then we go right back to, hey, it's too soon to talk about it.
That all happens in about 6 hours now before the next.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right?
Give it 2 days.
But then they always say that this is not the time to talk about it, But as for this, I mean, people have allergies, and I'm sorry, no offense, but a rash is nothing compared to fucking COVID, especially someone, hers is her mom, she looks older. So it
looks like a really bad case of eczema.
What?
Psoriasis.
Looks like acne, yeah. I could see that.
Eczema and psoriasis. My brother has this. His skin breaks out on red rashes and stuff like that there. I think they call it eczema or psoriasis. Dried out skin. That's what it looks like to me. Which is quite I wouldn't say popular, but it happens a lot and causes, like, they're not going to die. It's annoying, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll ask Steven, what's worse, this or COVID?
COVID is far worse.
There you go.
I'm gonna throw in an anecdote. I got to meet not too long after I graduated with my first degree. I got to meet one of the very first recipients of the polio vaccine. It was actually administered to a young girl who was in an orphanage when she was little. They were volunteered. I have some very serious issues with that. However,
I'm wondering how you word that. They were volunteered, not they did volunteer,
So she said that she was actually vaccinated by Dr. Salk himself, which, I mean, please understand, I love Dr. Salk. What he did was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I still have issues. That doesn't mean that if he wasn't, if he was alive now, I wouldn't call him out, because I would. But when she was administered the vaccine, she was a polio child. So she hadn't grown up with it. She'd had it for a few years, and she asked him straight out, is this going to make me better? And he told her, he was honest about it. No, it will not, but it will help millions of others. And I think she was 13 at the time. Don't quote me on her age, but I think she was 13 at the time. And she said, well, okay, that's fine. I'm happy to help somebody else. So when I see a rash on somebody, no, do I want them to go through that? Absolutely not. But I always remember that one story of the recipient of the polio vaccine who has saved millions of lives at this point, understanding that it wasn't going to have benefit her at all. Mm-hmm. It may have actually killed her, and she still did it. But she understood exactly what somebody going through the virus was going to experience. She knew that she didn't want anybody else to have that. And at her mind at 13 was able to maturely make that decision. And she said, sure, go ahead. And he administered it. I don't want anybody to have the rash, and please don't think that I'm being.
Yeah, of course not.
Here. Well, this is
what Spock quotes, like, it's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
Yes,
but in this case, it's not. It literally is saving their lives.
Yes,
it's the needs of their needs and preventing them from dying and them from long-term illness.
Right.
Having reactions to injections, when they make an injection, there's different solutions that they can use in the injection. So someone can have an allergic reaction to all these different solutions. That's why you end up with different brands of the medications, because the different manufacturers may use just one ingredient different to appeal to a market that has a bad reaction to the ingredients used by their competitors.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sorry, it's every single medication out there has some kind of side effect. Some people get affected. Some people have allergies. I mean, that's just the way of the world. That's just the way
if
medicine.
I can say, more so in America than over here in Britain, we don't have adverts that say 30 seconds of the benefits and 6 minutes of how it will kill you.
Yeah.
Well,
Larry Letts asked if I was vaccinated for smallpox because none of the youngsters up there were. No, I'm not that old.
I don't think that we should advertise for medications on television at all. At least not anything that's not over the counter.
When I was in America for my holiday, man, and I switched on the TV and I seen the first advert for like a drug. It was someone that were running through a park or whatever, getting ice cream, and this will benefit your functions and this, that, and the other. And I was like, right, that's interesting, okay. And then twice as long about may kill you, may cause your foot to fall off, your dick may shrink, your ears may fall off. It's like, what
They
the
still show you
fuck?
the happy old people the whole time they're saying that, though. You guys see the happy old people running and
happy
working
old
on their
people,
jobs and stuff.
It was
That's all they want
insane.
you to focus on. Because I mean, you don't anymore, though. We've all heard those ads a million times here in America. We don't listen to, because they say they're at the very end and they say it really fast. And yes, it's a long list of shit, but we don't hear it. We don't listen to it because we know that. I mean, most of the time, most people don't get all of the side effects, and any side effects can be really mild anyway. But I have a perfect TikTok to go to this. It probably has it up.
Yeah, it's not like I'm typing in the chat. I sit here for 3 minutes doing nothing, and then I reach down. As soon as I reach down, she's like, "Will you produce?"
Hey, Evo Tard in the chat. Is there something specific about the papers that you're talking about that you want us to address that we haven't? Go ahead and put it in there because we will try to address it.
Yeah, we have. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but we have an actual expert here, Dr. Hobbs. So, I'm sure he can answer any questions that you have. Go ahead and play your Robbie, please.
I just want to make this clarification clear. I am producing. This is my computer, and I have no account on TikTok. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, none of us do. That was the
Making
problem
that
because
clear.
we were.
I do have a TikTok account.
When? Since when?
His internet.
It disappears.
I signed up for one about a month ago because
Have you created any content, or is it just to look at stuff?
no, it's just to look at stuff.
Okay.
So I could follow Lucy.
I was
and
going to
all
say
that.
it's just to give Lucy shit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm just way too old for TikTok. But go ahead and play it, honey.
Yours can't bring the fucking plague. Vaccinate
hear
your
it. Can you?
spawn,
No, I
or
can't hear
I'm
it.
bringing the
It's
jib.
really, really quiet.
What do you want me to do about that? Like,
Turn your desktop volume up.
on the actual stream
What?
for you, it's up full.
Okay, just play it. I'll tell you what she had said.
If my kids can't bring peanut butter to school, yours can't bring the fucking plague. Vaccinate
Because if your
spawn,
kids can't bring
or I'm bringing the
the
jib.
beginning she talks about how they can't bring peanut butter to school because some kids are allergic, but she's comparing it to people who are you're not vaccinating their kids and letting them go to school. So she says if your kids, or she says if I can't bring peanut butter to school, your kids can't bring the fucking plague. So I just thought that was. So I don't know why you couldn't hear it, but I thought that was very poignant and interesting, and it made me laugh pretty hard. So
Good one.
we're back. Yeah.
I'm interested in that mantis.
Yes.
Oh, I shared the wrong screen. Hold on, I may not have hit the audio button. We will
Subscribe
try
if you want
again.
more Mantis.
Will they?
Right. You should be able to... They can hear it. Yes, they can definitely hear it. So I'm doing OBS right. I've just done this wrong.
It's okay. Then it's fine. Don't worry about it.
We couldn't.
We got it.
If my kids can't bring peanut
There.
butter to school, yours can't bring the fucking plague. Vaccinate your spawn, or I'm bringing the jiff.
See,
I like that.
yeah, I really like that, and that's true though. I don't, peanut butter allergies have gotten so much worse because we had peanut butter and stuff at school when we were kids. That wasn't. I mean, I know there were some kids that had an issue, but it's gotten so much worse. But she's not wrong. These people are putting kids in danger. I mean, there are always going to be children that can't get vaccinated, that really honestly can't get vaccinated for certain reasons.
Yeah.
But when you're choosing not to vaccinate your kids and then sending them off to school and stuff, you are putting everybody's kids in danger, and that's just not fair.
If I could ask the expert, Stephen Hobbs about embryology. You said was mainly yes.
Yeah.
Kids, best to get them dirty.
Oh, sure. Keys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let kids play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not have to be free range children running about the city. However, they're fine if they get dirty. You can wash them up.
I don't want feral ones.
I was commented on by the mother of the child about sending her home with dirty nails, and I was like, she spent 2 hours in the sand pit, and then I took her home. What she's got dirty nails. It's
dirty nails. If that's the only thing, we're good. She didn't get a tetanus shot because of the playing in the junkyard.
Yeah.
not quite yet. No.
Say yet.
All right, Robbie, you can put the next one up, please. I can't read that.
And I can zoom into there.
Relationship between Astra and blood clots. There is a link between AstraZeneca's vaccine and blood clots. Pal Andre Holm, chief physician at Oslo University Hospital, tells VG. A Norwegian group of doctors has examined the 3 healthcare employees who were admitted to hospital after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. The group is convinced that the strong immunological response has been triggered as a reaction to the vaccine. We have isolated the source. There is nothing but the vaccine that can explain that we have gotten that immune response at home. One of the medical workers has died. Shots of the thing.
Is that something you've done, Brian?
Yeah. This is mainly what you find in those groups is that people take in. This is essentially quote mining of the way that they handled the blood clotting situation. They take snippets out of what was actually said in the press release and kind of build a narrative that's saying, they're saying this was absolutely caused by the vaccination, and that's just not the case. That's not, and that as far as I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been no direct link found, but because they had the cases that they had to include that as part of the risk for taking it.
Yeah, what do you have to say to this, Dr. Hobbs?
I look at it from a number standpoint. Yeah, sure. I mean, if 6 people get them and 6 people who have not previously had blood clots start getting blood clots, we need to look further into it. Absolutely. I don't have any problem with more research. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I think 3 of the people of the 6 out of the 6.5 million people who have gotten the vaccine so far, 3 of them had already had a history of blood clots.
Wow.
Beforehand. So then I wonder, was it the injection itself, not the fluid, not the vaccine, the actual injection,
the actual process
situation.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they have a hyperimmune response for clotting or hyperclotting response? If so, then it's not the vaccine itself. They would have clotted with any of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Even
that's
if it
also
was
why we
safe.
have a waiting time. We have a waiting period that you were supposed to be there. And those and I remember checking the box on mine that says, do you have allergies? And I do. So I checked it and they said, you have to wait 30 minutes. Fine. But after about 15 minutes, you get a little antsy. I'm just, okay, I'm not reacting. It's time to go. But it takes a while for a blood clot to form. So the waiting time may not have been enough for that particular patient. They may not have been honest with it. Let's say they were honest. I hope that everybody was.
Mm.
The 3 that did not are 3 people out of 6 million. Again, I don't want it to happen to anybody, but we're most likely going to get some other weird side effect, not just this, showing up in a larger amount of those individuals before we see something serious like blood clots.
And there are multiple conditions that make you predisposed to blood clots that take into consideration as well.
Correlation.
Wait until they find out about birth control.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
Correlation is not causation.
And you also need to be able to point out to these people that this is one of the 3 vaccines too. In they're seeing this, and people are wanting to, use it as a reason not to take the vaccine at all. They're not taking into account, like Steven said, the numbers, the statistics of it, the background of the people that this is happening to, or the fact that there are multiple vaccines to choose from, and there's only one of them having this problem at the moment. That doesn't mean throw out the baby with the bathwater. We are already seeing results. Things getting a little better in places that are more vaccinated. People that are vaccinated, most of them are fine. We need to look at the bigger picture here. So it's really frightening when they do this and they cherry pick, because this is actual facts, but again, they're picking little things out of a bigger picture in order to fearmonger, in order to push their agenda. And
that's just it. I don't understand what their agenda is. Like, I understand that we shouldn't have vaccines.
Yeah. No, well, okay. The problem is an awful lot of this comes out. There are people with an agenda at the root of some of this, mostly control-based.
Okay.
It's libertarianism is what it comes down to.
I love the way, as you said that, you just started to smile ever so slightly.
Well, it's not like we're doing a run-by stabbing on people at the supermarket.
No.
You stab them and you're now vaccinated.
Yeah.
Nobody's being forced.
Can we do that? Please, can we do that?
I know, right?
I would vote for that. Yeah. Like, I'm all for mandatory vaccines. Somebody wants to go to a public school, you have to have them. You want to go to a public college or university, you have to have them.
Yep.
You've got to get them when you get in the military. The military understands that you don't want to get a pathogen, because one person down takes another person to replace them, a second person to at least remove them and take care of them to the best of their ability. So that's 3.
Yeah.
So they understand the benefit. And it started with George Washington. Like, it's been there for a while. He said, vaccinate everybody.
Beige Price in the chat says one guy said that they're scaring people with the clots to force them to take the untested mRNA ones. So
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. We have tested the vaccines for stuff like this, specifically for COVID or coronavirus. I don't want to say COVID. For coronaviruses for the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not something that we just happened upon. We just happened to use that particular virus because that's the one that became the worst of all the coronaviruses. There are thousands of them.
Yeah,
We've been working on a vaccine to take care of the common cold for 30 years.
Yeah, that's another issue too. Is people don't understand that the coronavirus is one of, like you said, many that have come before it, just a different variation of it. They believe that this new thing popped out of nowhere and has never been studied, and we don't know what we're doing. The scientists don't know what they're doing with it at all.
Back to the whole, one immunization and relative to another. I seen a thing the other day that they have come up with a new development in the AIDS vaccine, or in work with AIDS, because of the work that has been done with the immunization with the coronavirus. So
Absolutely.
One field of research that is specifically focused because of that has been forced down, has a tangent that also can relatively help something in another field.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, really, I believe all of us are in the same age group. I could be slightly wrong on that. I could be 10 years
Yeah.
old.
Dave's
Anyway,
52.
so, okay.
No,
We're close.
Yeah.
Growing up in the AIDS epidemic, most of it, you just mentioned HIV, and our blood pressure goes up, our pupils dilate.
Tom Cruise. You say
because-
AIDS, I think Tom Cruise. And that scene where he's wearing the sailor outfit at the party and he's lost all that weight. He has the leeches.
That's not Tom Cruise. That's Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks,
Tom
sorry. Yeah, I think Tom Hanks in that white outfit, that movie, whatever it is.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. That was the shot of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when we were living through this and we saw it every day, losing 2 million people a year, all of our entertainers, all of our artists, the people that kept us entertained in all forms, not just that, but family members and friends, of course, going through that and realizing that we had to steal money from other aspects. Like the CDC actually borrowed money from one area into another to find out what was going on while it was still known as GRID.
Yeah.
Well, the research that came from that led up to the development of all different types of new vaccines, HPV, hepatitis, and so on. Well, that same research is what went into coronaviruses, even though we've known about coronaviruses since the 1960s. So we started researching how do we get rid of this stuff. So it's built upon, and we are so far ahead of where we were in the 1950s and 60s. It is unreal. It's almost unfathomable. Like, I really do want to know what Jonas Salk would think about today if he knew what kind of vaccines we have.
What do you think he'd say?
Holy shit, are you serious?
Probably.
Yeah.
He'd be awful proud of himself too, though. I mean, we do have a lot to owe to him. So
yes,
that's super cool that you met someone that met him. That's just really neat.
We still use a lot of the innovative methods that were novel to his polio treatments, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, some of the cells that we use to spread viruses inside vials, we still use those.
Amazing.
I try to answer Evo Todd's ridiculous statement. What exactly do you think natural herd immunity is versus vaccine?
I'm not seeing them there.
It's basically Darwinian evolution. If you do that, it means that let everybody who's susceptible to the side effects of the virus die, and then the people who are able to survive it. That's herd immunity. That's weeding out the people who are weak to that. So
but
no, we don't want to do that.
The difference between the herd immunity we're going to get from the vaccine, with people but with less people dying, than normal herd immunity. He's saying we have to wait for natural herd immunity, and the vaccine's not going to do anything, which is ridiculous.
That makes no sense, and you end up with way more people dying with the natural heat. Remember earlier on, the Republicans wanted to sacrifice like the old people so we could get our economy going again. It's that same idea. We have something a vaccine that will allow people to not have to die and go through it and build a natural herd immunity. So why the fuck would we do that? Like, seriously.
And if we catch this early enough, we won't need natural immunity because it will go away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really?
Yeah.
If enough of us get it quick enough before it becomes part of our population, before it becomes endemic to human beings, we can eradicate it. We still have the opportunity to do so. It's getting harder and harder day by day because we don't want it to become established. We want it to be a rare event one time and move forward.
The fact that you say that, though, and it's so simple and basic, and people can't get past that. It's like, right, think of it this way. There's 100 people that have, in a population. 3 of them get a disease. If we leave it, everybody gets the disease. If we vaccinate 70 people, at the most 30 will get it. Then it'll die out. No one will ever get it again. Mm-hmm. It's so simple.
Yeah, that's how we got rid of smallpox. We noticed that there were populations that were moving around. So what we would do is that, honestly, they gave pictures to kids in school and said, "Do you know anybody that looks like this?" And the kids would say, "Yeah, it's over there." So they would try to isolate those, vaccinate the people in their immediate family, and then those that are in contact with their immediate family. You wouldn't have to vaccinate millions upon millions of people, even though we did. You wouldn't have to if we had done this right to begin with, meaning isolate those that are sick, quarantine those that are possibly sick, keep them, of course, support them, which that is a failure in the United States government right there. I have a big issue with that. Way to go, Canada, by the way.
Yeah. And you also have the issue, too, is that the longer we allow this to happen, the more mutations, the more dangerous it can get. It's dumb.
You're correct. And now we're worried about a double mutation as well, taking over India. I have worried about India since I heard this start. So January 1st is when I set the first report. January 2nd, I looked up India's population and the population density and the interactions per person per day. In the United States, I think we had 16 people per day, 16 interactions. That means interactions with individuals other than family members. So outside the home for greater than 30 seconds. Well, in India, it was 32 in the United States. In India, it was like 60, which just means any pathogen that gets in is just going to go rampant. it's a small landmass and a very large population. You know, as bad as China was, I wasn't as worried about China because it's a very large landmass, even though they've got, you know, what, a third of the human population. They're spread out much further than they are in India. So I have worried about them. And now that they got a double mutation showing up, it's getting worse. I think they had 20,000 people in one day 2 days ago.
Owen Jones did a stream earlier about the Indian variation. Was quite interesting.
And you can correct my numbers if I was wrong on that one, but I think those were about.
You think anyone here is going to correct your numbers? You roll with it, Stephen.
That Evo guy says we don't understand natural herd immunity.
Well, we got enough smart people out there in the live chat that can set him straight about some of his obvious misinformation.
We will move on to the next one then. We will move on.
Actually, can you pull up the first TikTok I sent you, honey, please? This one, yeah.
I don't know how to use TikTok. Sorry. And
I don't think there's any, thing worth hearing in this one. I think you just have to read it anyway.
I got
my COVID vaccine. I'm feeling great. What the hell?
Yeah, he got the COVID vaccine here. Okay.
A zombie.
Like he was injected with it.
What? Hello? Am I tripping? What the fuck? Got my COVID vaccine.
Yeah, so that was it. It's just them pushing the idea. This was something that actually went viral, pushing the idea that there are side effects to the vaccine. This one is suggesting, I guess, you go insane or whatever. I saw another one where there was a woman that was shaking and speaking in tongues because she got the vaccine. But I mean, obviously, like I said, you don't get the vaccine. I'm sorry, what's the?
We got that at church.
Yeah, right.
Tongues.
Yeah, exactly, and which is probably where she got the idea from.
Manda, Dave, and I think Brian know this as well. I at work, my hands got very covered in coolant. My mask got covered in coolant. My breathing got a little tight because my mask was, wet. And I went to sit down, and the Christian guy that I worked with came over and put his hands on me. He was like, "Lord Jesus Christ, save him!" And like there was faith healing going on at work,
Oh my!
Did
it work? It's not going to work without a vaccine.
Oh, well, I changed my mask, and suddenly, about a half an hour later, my breathing got better. I felt an awful lot, But yeah, it's down to the feeling.
This evil person again says there's multiple papers on how the shutdowns and waiting for vaccines actually prevented herd immunity.
Of course, it did.
Yeah.
Well, it did in the sense it slowed the progression. It slowed the progression of the virus as it was meant to. Yeah. Yes, it prevented us getting to a point of herd immunity. It also saved millions of lives.
Millions of lives.
Yeah. It's not that it didn't. Yeah.
He doesn't seem to know what herd immunity is. He said our description of it was not what he thinks it is. So I don't think he understands the term. I think we're giving him way too much attention. He's I
just wanted to that was the last one I wanted to talk about, just because of course keeping us indoors, it prevented natural herd immunity for a while, but again, we don't want to go that route because
millions of people die
that way. Yeah. So
and unfortunately, those that are thinking, well, we should have gotten natural herd immunity, don't realize that the immune that we get, the immune response, only lasts about 4 months. So we would constantly go through this 4 months by 4 months by 3 times a year. We'd get a new wave.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
people
want
would die every time.
Close to that. Yeah, people would die, and in larger quantities each time. So it would go from 3.4, and I'm still mad at myself for this because I had to adjust it and I didn't see it. Oh, some of you saw that tweet not too long ago. I'm not going to forgive myself for that. I knew that variant was here. I knew it. I just didn't see it.
A virus is going to adapt to us a lot faster than we are going to adapt to a virus. And that's the main thing that we need to keep in mind. That's why vaccines are important.
It's a generational thing,
You're way too hard on yourself, Stephen. Your predictions, honestly, throughout this whole thing have been pretty damn spot on. So, just...
Have you and Doc... Is it Doc Fearsome, Dave?
Not that I know of. I may have.
Doc Fearsome we had back on, actually, I think it was April. It was exactly a year ago. And Dave, you were on that stream. He came on and we talked about COVID. It was Inquisitive and Quadri's after party. And he came on. He works in research of viruses and stuff like that there. And he came on and predicted a load of stuff last April. And it all just happened over here. Like. He's mainly based on Facebook. But the two of you together on the stream would be very, very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll make sure we hook you up there. We got lots of people that we introduced you to Marrow, so it was one, but yeah, that would be really great. Go ahead and find the next one, Robbie, please.
Already on the screen, honey. I did it when I was doing nothing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
All right. Fear lets you be controlled by others. Fear lets you wear face mask when there is no evidence or research that supports that it does any good. Fear also lets you take poison to be administered into your body through injections called vaccines. Fear lets people be persuaded to be converted or saved. And this really punctuates the link between the evangelicals and the anti-vax movement here.
Mm-hmm. Can I add one thing right here? That sentence: fear lets people be persuaded, lets people be persuaded to be converted or saved. Isn't that evangelical?
Yeah,
they are all about. That's why I've always posted things like religion is typically should be considered an ultimatum. Do it or else.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Are you saved if you submit because of fear? If fear without wisdom cause it, then is it vanity? If you are in fear, you have lost already. Then why be in fear? It is not better to be in fear and then see what happens, and then you are not lost. Is this turning into word salad for me, or am I just reading this?
Absolute shit.
Yes, it is. It's insane. It's just gone completely nuts now. It doesn't make any sense.
A logic puzzle now. So, yeah,
it's the same. It's the same thing.
We just go to the picture. Picture makes more sense. Yeah.
But again, this idea that we're having to wear masks is losing your liberty, and that it's the same thing. You go into a store. There's been very few places in America where you've had to by law wear masks anyway. Going to a store, that's something different because that's private property, which people don't seem to understand, because the public can go into a store, but that's not, the store itself is not public. It's, that's why they can tell you no shirt, no shoes, no service, just add no mask to that.
Yeah, you've already been required to wear certain articles of clothing over your areas of your body for as long as, for how long? Thousands of years. Now it's just one more piece of.
Yeah. I even came across a video the other day of a group of Karens that were complaining about not having to wear masks, saying that it was their religion, because I guess one of the things is that you can't discriminate against people because of their religion, and it's not just I want to wear or I don't want to wear a mask. So they tried to say that it was their religion that was telling them that they could not wear a mask, and therefore they were being discriminated against by being told not to wear, or being told to wear a mask. It was just insane. It really was.
You can't create a religion just so you can be a public health nuisance.
Right? Pretty sure they were trying to, though.
Before it was made basically mandatory over here for everybody to wear masks, before the stage where we're at now. On the floor, on the last job that we worked at, we could not enforce people to wear masks. We could only do it inside the reception area. That's the way that the company was set up, because that's where people would, congregate. But the main open floor was open enough for, people not to wear masks. And I asked a particular guy who would not leave his car, who was very particular about making sure everything with his car was done correctly, wouldn't leave, and I asked him to wear a mask, and his reaction was to square up to me and try and start a fucking fight about, you can't tell me what to do and how this, that, and the other and all. He's literally went from, a meter away from me to here, starting a row. It was the exact opposite reaction of I was like, just step back. Nothing I could do about it.
What?
Can you find that last TikTok of mine, Robbie, please? The one with the kid in the blanket. Just thought that was funny. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, where's the rewind button? Huh?
There is one.
Go down to the bottom and click on,
We're
Do you have to let it play all the way through on TikTok?
Yeah, just goes right through and through.
Is it me, Jesus? It's not you either. Is it me, Jesus? Is it me, Jesus?
Here, let's start.
One of you
It's short.
will betray me tonight. Is it me, Jesus? No. Is it me, Jesus? It's not you either. Is it me, Jesus? Is it me, Jesus?
So he's saying that the worst of the worst is that the anti-vaxxers, because you drop the kid or whatever, leaving the kid in a hot car, but putting him in the most danger is the ones that are not vaccinating. So, and I cannot read any of that.
Oh no, and I even zoomed in earlier, and that wasn't working. I could lean forward and we could see my shiny head, or we could move on to the next one.
Who are those people? The avatars.
Yeah, I wonder if they were. Could you go back for a second, honey?
The disinformation doesn't.
Who do we got here?
Disinformationdoesn't.com. Go for it. What do we go for it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Right.
The truth heroes. Oh God.
This should be interesting.
The subculture search engine. Right. What are we typing?
You spelled it wrong.
Yeah, it should be disinformation doesn't.
Yeah.
You've done it wrong.
You got a dozen in there.
Yeah, but it's in the side chat, Robbie.
Withholding information is the essence of tyranny. Control of the flow of information is a tool of dictatorship. Who are these? I see it doesn't say who they are.
Dave, shut up. We don't need to listen to you.
Oh, vaccine truth heroes. You're talking to my partner now, yo.
Pardon?
Oh my goodness.
I said you're talking to my partner now. My co-host, whatever.
Yeah, two different things. Two completely different things.
Oh, we missed Truth Week. It was April 4th through 10th. God damn it, people. Now how are we ever going to figure out the truth?
Why did we not start on April 1st?
Oh, so the first one is fucking Kennedy Jr.
That's what just we're looking for, isn't it?
Because he's Q, right?
Oh my God.
These are the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that one woman that was an actual doctor that talked about hydroxychloroquine and how it went on like Satan or devil rapes or something. I don't know. It was insane. But yeah, we got the point. They're just a bunch of idiots that where'd you go, Robbie?
There's info out there that the survivors in the first SARS from 2002 still have high and adequate antibodies to this day, but it's a different. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't forget we now have millions of people that have had this and been tested where their antibodies are at, and it's down to less than 50% at 3 months.
Mm. Okay, I found this one. Let's see. The upcoming coronavirus vaccine is a killer. It seems to be more dangerous than previous shots. Since so many have a high amount of toxicity already stored in the body, the organs might not be able to handle the ingredients in the new, I can't read that, something
Bill
vaccine.
Gates vaccine.
But okay, Bill Gates vaccine makes sense. Even if immediate death doesn't occur, severe DNA level damage will be caused. Refuse this and other injections and blah, blah, blah.
Coronavirus
What's going to cause the DNA damage?
They don't understand what this
They're-
is. at
They're,
all.
they're conflating it with like ERVs, like viruses that actually do insertions into your DNA and stuff. That's what-
Retroviruses.
Yeah, that's what they're pretending that the coronaviruses are the same, and they're not.
They're not. They're not.
They're talking about the vaccine being that.
Well, because they take it to the step that that vaccines are made using the actual virus or whatever, and they're conflating that too. There's a whole lot of conflation going on in this conspiracy community with the way that we treat other viruses, and they want to put things on basically based on the way that we treat like the flu or that we vaccinate for the flu, or we vaccinate for chicken pox, or we vaccinate for shingles and stuff like that. They want to use the same criteria, because when you vaccinate for shingles, you are getting a mild dose of chicken pox vaccine or chicken pox virus. And they want to pretend that, okay, so you're getting a mild dose of coronavirus when you get this vaccine. And that's not the way that the vaccine that they're using for this works. At least it's not the same. Like it's COVID-19
literally just a chunk.
You go ahead.
It's just that chunk that causes the reaction in your immune response that causes it. It's not the entire virus. It's just what causes the reaction to get you to have an immune response.
Exactly.
That's why it irritates you. That's why people have these allergic reactions to it, like the rash we saw, like some swelling and some pain.
That's why people feel bad. They have to mount an immune response as well. But unfortunately, they focus on things such as, I got the flu vaccine, and then I got the flu, and I felt bad for 3 days. If you only felt bad for 3 days, I can guarantee you didn't have the flu.
Yeah. I was going to say, don't forget you got a little sick, afterwards. There is a response, but
they did a long nap is what I did.
It's a basic misunderstanding of science, period. So, and having such little knowledge to begin with and being fed all of this other misinformation, they're just easily agree with it. If it makes sense, there's some part of in the back of your brain that goes, oh yeah, it makes sense that Bill Gates is trying to shoot us up with 5G or whatever the fuck they're saying now. Somewhere in the back of their weird brain, they think that works. So we're all very
up with the Jewish space lasers. So.
Yeah, I know, right? I can go on to the next one, Robbie, please. Doc, is there a vaccine to protect me from lousy parents? So, and he's got, I'm assuming, chicken pox or the measles or something all over him. I like this one because it's true. Kids don't get to choose. We start vaccinating our kids when they're infants, and if you're a parent, you know how many fucking shots your kid has to get up until like the age of 12 or 13. So many every year.
Does anybody have any numbers on the resurgence of measles? It was more of a big deal before COVID hit, but they talked about it. But is there any numbers on that?
I did read about that. Do you know anything, Dr. Hobbs?
Measles and mumps were both on the rise in the American South for the last 3 years.
Just the South.
Most of them. I know those because I live in Texas. I try to keep track of the Texas numbers.
East Texas.
I'm as far west Texas as you're going to be able to get before you get to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it makes sense that it's on the rise in the American South because that's where, the big population of evangelicals are. Again, we make this connection between the evangelicals and the fundamentals, the anti-science, and then you go to the anti-vaccines. Or it just
we do have a question from Titan. Can the doctor please give his curriculum vitae to satisfy the troll? Like
he wants to know what you have a PhD in.
What is what are you educated at? I have a PhD in this, a bachelor's in that.
You don't have to tell them if you don't want to.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I've got 7 degrees, so.
Okay, right. Moving on. You're not worth it.
Yeah. Trust me, he knows better than you. Okay.
Whenever I actually sent the links earlier, whenever I sent a link to Jake the Atheist earlier, I sent him the link to this, and he asked who's on the panel, and I says, well, Manda has her background in this, Brian has his background in this, and I literally just sent your Twitter handle, and I said it speaks for itself, and then I moved on.
I mean, I have a strong background in all sciences. My geology is a little rough, but I mean, I don't normally get into geology too much other than climate science. But I understand the chemistry and the physics underneath that. And then math, math, all math. Should I take more math? Absolutely.
I love
Always with the math.
Yeah.
Because
I love
science is basically, it comes down to math anyway. So that's one of the reasons I love it so much.
Developed, college level, university level classes in biology, chemistry, physics, astronomy, biotechnology, biomedical law, and ethics. So I try to get as much under my belt as I can.
Like I said,
you
trust
single?
me, he knows better than you.
Are you single?
Larry, no, he's married with kids, lovely children. So, Larry, let's ask: can someone please mention when the last smallpox vaccines were given? Do you know that, Dr. Hobbs?
They're still given to the American military. Like, we still have them. You can get them if you want to go to your primary care and ask for one. You can have those, but they were last given in, I believe, 1977. Before the very last cases in 1979.
Do the current, if you get them now, do they still leave those scars like they used to?
Yeah, nothing.
Why is that?
So when you do a smallpox vaccine, it's not an injection. It's a needle that kind of looks like a fork. Here we go. Looks like this. And a small amount of the vaccine that gets in there, and we kind of poke it into the skin. It's not an injection. So the skin is going to react while you're mounting that immune response. So you get this huge pustule that, I mean, it's sizable. It's kind of gross. It hurts. But that's why people would, it itches. That's why people would scratch it and end up with that huge scar.
Okay. See, I was always wondering why, why it did that. Because obviously I've never gotten that one.
I think it was.
Yeah, go ahead, Robbie.
I think it was referred to over here as the BCG injection.
That's it.
Yeah. And if you look at my mum's top left shoulder, my mum's is the size of an old 50p piece. My uncle's is about maybe 5 mil smaller, and mine is literally only about 4 mil. They do gradually get smaller over the years.
I meant a blank scar now.
You have one, Dave?
Yeah, I can't think I can get it close enough to the camera that you can see it.
Huh. Oh, I do.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, Robbie, you're only a couple of years older than me, so that's weird.
Interestingly, the smallpox vaccine discovered by Dr. Jenner, of course, started in England, and that was the last 2 cases as well. The last 2 cases of smallpox were in England.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I vaccinated.
That's as big as I can make it.
The anti-vaxxer says vaccines are dangerous, spread the word, and Death says, okay, but my word is measles. I thought you liked this one, Steven.
Measles, the bane of my existence, really, when it comes to this. Measles is considered by the anti-vaxxers to be just a skin rash, but they don't understand what they're just saying, because what's happening on the inside and what's happening on the outside are very different things. And it has the ability to be recurrent, which means it's either going to come back, but when it comes back as subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, which is an inflammation of the brain. It causes death. We don't have any treatments for it. The only way you can prevent yourself from getting that is getting, either the measles naturally, which still leads you up to that, but it doesn't turn into it, or get a vaccine, which prevents all of it.
Yeah.
So
there are graveyards we can point people to that are just full of the victims of measles. There's graveyards for polio too. So yeah,
it's like they don't. I find it really weird that they don't believe the deaths.
Yeah, Nell said it damn near killed him. So
because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah,
most of these anti-vax moms have been vaccinated.
Yeah, most of that's true.
Yeah, exactly. They grew up, protected themselves, but. Going back to that last one, these kids don't have a choice. So their parents decide, and their dumb parents end up killing them because they decided to go down the anti-vax route. So
well, their argument is that it doesn't happen anymore. Well, there's a reason it doesn't happen anymore.
And it can come right back if you don't quickly and devastatingly.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, honey. You can turn to the next one, please. Oh, this one was I was looking at earlier. The Black Plague disappeared without a vaccine, just saying. And the woman says, it killed a third of Europe.
Here is your herd immunity right here. That's what you call herd immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the natural herd immunity is what, I'm sure Dr. Hobbs could speak more to that, but what ended up ending the Black Plague eventually. you know,
And
but it costs
Indian as much as
millions
it
of
ever
lives.
ended. We still have the bubonic plague. It still exists. There's still.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There was an outbreak of it in San Francisco about a century ago, in fact, and also I think in New York.
They blamed it on the Chinese. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, they blamed it on the Chinese, but it wasn't. It had to do with the fact that the sewer pipes came directly from the docks
ports to Chinatown, and the flea rats were going with their bubonic fleas were going up into Chinatown that route, and they let them die for I think it was a couple of years that people were dying from the bubonic plague in Chinatown, and they quarantined it and didn't treat it, and then whenever anybody who wasn't from that community came down with it, they blamed it on the people from Chinatown.
Yeah, it was a pretty awful situation. So.
Where I live, we have prairie dogs. Do you guys know what prairie dogs are?
Yeah.
It's a rodent.
We have them in Arizona. We have them in Tucson.
Yeah, those are the rodents that we have in the Southwest. Granted, there are others, but those rodents also carry the bubonic plague. But you never hear about the Tucson plague. It's almost always scapegoated to some other country, so that we don't have to take it for ourselves, or just admit that maybe we have a problem. We don't know as much as we thought we did, and we need to keep working on this. We need more research.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to pin it on anybody else from us, but then it ends up look what happened with calling it the Chinese virus and that kind of stuff. People say, "Oh, that's not racist." Yes, it is, and
it is. Absolutely, it is, and I will correct them immediately.
And when you cite the Spanish flu, that was racist too.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, "Well, they called it the Spanish flu, but that wasn't okay either." Like, it's just people
the
don't
great
understand
flu will
that.
work just fine.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Robbie. We'll do a couple more. I've been doing for over an hour. Yeah, we'll do that one. Watching the part in V for Vendetta where the government creates a virus and uses it to seize power over its people.
It's a really bad virus for that.
Yeah, got a little out of hand.
Yeah.
Amanda needs to wake up a wee bit more early so we can watch Utopia. Have you seen Utopia? Has anyone here seen Utopia? Utopia is a Channel 4 program where a guy developed a genetically modified disease. It's British, Channel 4. Developed a genetically modified disease to attack a certain species of a certain race of people. And the
we
secret
have 470 channels here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Channel 4. You can have 470 channels.
But it has it on Amazon. Amazon
it's
not only has
really,
the original,
really good.
but
It's like a
new
government
one.
sort of conspiracy thing where it's definitely worth a trailer watch.
But that's a lot of people really do believe that. I argued with people a couple months ago about this, that they're saying that no, it was definitely made in a lab or whatever. But they were able to see that it wasn't. It was a zoonotic disease. It was a virus and something
I had an argument. That's one thing I wanted to ask earlier, and you sort of tangent. I didn't get a chance to jump in. As a guy actually said to me was that they can prove that it's a man-made virus, and I was like, no, they can prove that it's not, because if if the human species interacts with a virus and does this, that, and the other, generally these days they'll use CRISPR, but there's procedures that they can follow to see that this is man-made, and as Amanda says, it's a zoonotic disease. From what I've seen, it was a bat and something else got together that can combine with humans, and the two of that and this, that, but it's definitely natural.
Yeah,
but it would scream. It would take a conspiracy on the scale of every government on the planet.
Yeah,
because it would only take one of them to look at it properly, and it would scream if it was man-made.
And remember,
it's not anyway.
It's not governments looking at this virus. It's independent research teams. They're not. It's not governments that are like, oh, we can cover up that this was man-made. No, the scientists who are working on the vaccines are not generally under anybody's agenda, but they would notice if it showed the traces of being synthetic.
It's the moon landing again. Yeah. If the moon landing was faked, Russia would have been there going, we know it was fake.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my biggest argument when people try to say that the moon landing was fake. Like, no, dude, you understand the implications of what us getting to the moon meant. So first, so like if they would have been able to prove it, and they would have fucking said something.
Can't remember who it was who did a mathematical study on it, and they said for everything that for the moon landing to be a fake for a conspiracy, it would involve something like 7,000 people, and because it involved something like 7,000 people, if you give it like 6 years, it would be coming out, and they would have evidence of it because there's so many people involved. It's mathematically improbable for it to have happened that long ago, and for us not to have proof of it being a fake.
I like the CGI conspiracy theorists. Have they seen any of the computer programs or television from back then?
Yeah. Yeah. It's unless we had, well, then they say something like, oh, we had the secret, advanced technology that they purposely didn't let out until years later because they wanted to keep secret that the moon landing was fake. Like, okay, come on.
Well, Andy Warhol made it, right?
Yeah. All right, we'll do one or two more.
6, and we'll have finished.
Okay, that's a lot. Go ahead.
I did.
When the group that loves to call everyone a Nazi starts demanding you carry papers. Oh God, this shit. The people that were actually comparing like COVID passports to, like wearing the stars and stuff like that. I do not like. It's really hard for me personally. What?
I'm just looking more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna message bad tempered badgers on MySpace. Give me a minute.
But I have a connection myself. Most people see my channel know my grandparents actually met in a concentration camp. I lost almost my entire family to the fucking Nazis, and for them to sit here and say stuff like this, it gets under my skin a lot.
It should get under every one of our skins.
Yeah, it really, really like putting, pedal to the metal on the fear mongering here. And, it's really disgusting.
It's unequivocal. Absolutely unequivocal. There is no comparison at all.
Mm-mm.
Let's just say we carry your paper, you have your passport, you can't get on a flight to go to Alabama. That's not the same thing as facing something like a concentration camp.
Yeah.
Or a bullet in front of a wall.
Yeah.
Most countries aren't going to let you
it.
in now unless you're vaccinated anyway. I mean, what is
a lot of countries weren't letting America in, period.
The last time I went to England, I had to prove that I was vaccinated, and this was long before COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not like it's something new.
I'm gonna give a liter of blood and a finger and have a fucking COVID vaccination passport if I get a flight to fucking Georgia.
I always wondered, since this is the same, this is an evangelical movement that
I thought
these people do a lot of missionary work, and that there's most countries in Africa, for instance, or Southeast Asia or South America, that you're required to get all these special vaccines before you can even get on a plane to that country. So they've been these people are more likely to have gotten vaccines in the past, but now all of a sudden they're rising against it. It's weird.
Well, that's because Jesus Trump told them not to.
Yeah,
the white one.
I know that. Yeah, the white Trump Jesus. I know that in I have a history of growing up in the church, so I don't know when. I just remember recalling listening to a Billy Graham sermon where he was talking about getting a cholera shot to inoculate himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Billy Graham, and I know that it's kind of a founder of the movement that we are seeing now.
Yeah,
now, his son, who has hijacked it and done all kinds of other weird stuff. But Billy Graham himself, all of the pastors that are, older at this point would have been, at least exposed to the man back then while they were going through school. So if he can get his cholera shot going to Africa to do all of his mission work, why can't you? And why stop at cholera?
Right. Yeah.
But then again, I also see lightning rods on churches. So
Well, I think part of it though is just because all of a sudden it's popular. Back then, that wasn't something that they were thinking about, and there wasn't the amount of misinformation, or without the internet too, there's not the access to it as it is now. They didn't really. It wasn't an issue. People weren't. Anti-vaxxing has been around forever, yes, but not like it is now. Especially now, this is like pretty much the biggest surge of it that we've seen. It's built up over the years. As more misinformation gets around, this community of anti-vaxxers continues to build. So, go ahead, Robbie.
Well, we have 5 left. We're doing one more, so pick a number between 1 and 5. There's 5 of us. I've also put it out into the live chat, so Stephen, we'll go with you, seeing as you're the expert. Pick a number between 1 and 5.
4.
And you get this.
Oh, that was somebody complaining about the fact checking. It's
What?
Yeah. So I guess I
hold on.
clipped
Let
a
me
little
see if
too
I can
much off
zoom
the
in
bu-
and make it a little easier to read.
This is the
There we go.
Yeah, you have to read that.
You read that?
no, I can't. Pick a different one. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my luck right there.
That's okay. I picked 4 too, and that
There
one
we
too.
go. We're going with this one.
All right.
Oh my
No one
God.
can be wrong as often as I am and still have a job. Want to bet? Okay. Wow.
That is
Yeah.
offensive.
Them going after Dr. Fauci, I don't understand it completely, other than the fact that he made Trump look like an idiot and Trump knew it, so Trump attacked him. And that seems to be the only reason that they're going after him.
That's it.
The only thing he did, they say that he said at the beginning not to wear masks or whatever, but that's not exactly what he said. Yeah.
Mischaracterization. Yeah.
I will admit it. At the very beginning, somebody asked me, I don't remember who it was, but it was on Twitter. They asked me at the very beginning, this was January 25th or so of 2020, said, do we need to wear masks? And I said, no, we shouldn't. As long as we socially distance, everything should be fine. Then I very quickly realized they're not going to socially distance. This is just going to go awry. So yes,
Yeah.
we'll switch over.
The early message for the average person to not wear a mask was specifically to make sure that there was enough mask for the healthcare workers and the frontline essential people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the movement. Yeah.
We also thought they would do the right thing. Personal responsibility, Greg Abbott.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I even said at the beginning, wearing something like wearing gloves was more important than wearing a mask. But I wasn't thinking about the spread to others. I was thinking about just, keeping yourself safe. So, yeah, no, we've learned, and, but Dr. Fauci knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
And to keep
We all
spreading,
studied his work.
yeah. It's ridiculous, and the guy is just gotten beat up so bad by the.
Did you guys see that hearing that he was on? I almost pulled a clip of that in too.
Talking to what's his face, Jim Jordan.
Yes, where he was badgering like, I want a number now, and it's like, this isn't the kind of information that you have a number. It's the kind of information you have a range.
Yeah.
Like, Jim, I've got the numbers. I've already posted them. You can have them.
Yeah. Oh, but I haven't read them, and just tell me. Like, he was really going for the fear mongering too. But in terms of, again, the liberty and how, this us having to wear masks or, be quarantined in any way is just ruining everybody. Well, it's worse when everybody fucking dies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe that shouldn't happen.
But herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
Oh yeah, but herd immunity, that's our new go-to now. Yeah. The natural herd immunity. All right, you said there's one more and then we can wrap up. Me vaccinated? Nah, not me, but I identify as a vaccinated person, so checkmate, bitches.
There's some transphobia there too.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good one to end on. We bit of, conservative transphobia.
Yeah, that's so bad.
What is tube-fed baby?
That's probably the person who made it, who's happy about that.
Who would be proud of making this to put their name on it?
Yeah, I know, right?
No.
that's some, and that tends to be the case though, that people that, are anti-vax also tend to be anti-trans and don't know the science behind that. By the way, if you have any questions about the science behind transgenderism, Brian and I did a show with Dr. P.C. Myers on this channel. It's somewhere in the videos if you want to check it out. It's really cool. But yeah, again, there's the science behind it that they don't understand, and they seem to keep, you believe in one stupid thing, you tend to believe in a lot of the others. So, but I think what I wanted to end on here was just how dangerous this really is. I mean, we can laugh at how stupid these people are, because damn they are, but at the end of the day, spreading this kind of misinformation, and you have people that are on the internet, that especially stuff like Facebook, that they're on the fence about things, they don't really understand science that well, and then they fall into a rabbit hole where they start off with a little bit of anti-vaxxers and they learn all of this stuff, and they don't get vaccinated, and they don't vaccinate their kids.
And any question that they ever have, they're looking for confirmation bias. That's the hard part. Like they think they already know the answer. Now they're looking for something on the internet, which they'll find, that confirms, oh, that's what I've been saying the whole time.
Yep. Yeah. Instead of actually, and they take what these Facebook posts and whatever, they take it at face value instead of looking into any of, the real. That's why this is GE's shirt today. It says citations fucking needed, because that's the thing. They need to be able to back up their claims with actual evidence and science, and they can't do that. So, but hopefully stuff like this, where we're able to laugh, but also point out the logic flaws and the science behind it, can help. So do our part to be able to stop the spread of horrible anti-science, because that is what we do on this channel, because anti-science is bad.
As the intro said, pale blue mama.
We understand that.
Pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we understand it, how are we going to get the message out to the people who are adamantly standing against it in every way? They are going to resist it in every fashion, and it is going to cost us our lives due to it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't, because at the end of the day, they appear to be using religious structures to enforce the message. These things are coming from the pulpit. Then the people online aren't particularly. They are mostly misinformed people. But it's the fact that they are getting their information from trusted sources to them. The fact that those sources should never have been trusted in the first place is the problem.
Agreed.
I think our biggest thing, it's almost impossible to convince those that are already convinced, but getting to the people that aren't quite there yet, that are on the fence, that are wondering about it, at least being able to, share that with them, and hopefully get them to, think critically more and find actual sources rather than rely on stupid Facebook posts or whatever. That's that's the best that we can do, I think.
Yep.
I've only seen a bit of this, but what's happening in Africa with the anti-vax is basically 100% coming through the churches.
It's all church, 100%.
And they are going the same route they've gone with AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use condoms because that is the work of the devil. They are using that to convert you, to poison you, and
if they make every fight about
shit show.
If they make every fight about religious oppression, then every fight is their against their freedom of religion and an attack on their freedoms, which gives them the platform that they need to push the message. It's feeds itself.
Did Manda just go through mitosis?
Sorry, go ahead.
Did Manda just go through mitosis? I thought there was two over there for a second.
Angel needed something, so he's crawling on the ground and knocking shit over.
We can see you.
Yep. He says hi. Yes, but like I said, we do the best that we can. But it's very frustrating having to fight against, having the knowledge that you're like, no, this is wrong. You are absolutely wrong. This is the actual science behind it. If they don't listen, it's heartbreaking and it's hard. So,
see what Kitty says before we go. I think anti-vaccine would be diminished if there was an admission that not all vaccines are safe. It's like the all or nothing extremes of bushing. The problem is the science is very honest on the all vaccines aren't safe, especially the ones we don't normally get for rare things because they're not safe, because they're painful, because the side effects are really bad. Right? The statistics are out there on how safe these ones are. Mm-hmm. Okay? They are incredibly safe, but they're not perfect. People are going to die because of them.
I think every medication they're generally pretty honest about I think they have to be. The FDA requires them to be honest about what the negative impacts are, or that that it may not work.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't want to believe it. They don't believe anything that any of the statistics, anything the government says, anything the companies say. Like a lot of people don't believe that the amount of COVID deaths are real. They think that's a lie. I think it's been, expanded, or that it doesn't. Some people believe it doesn't even exist at all.
I go back to your more math problem, okay? Because in the UK, the specific COVID stats that we use week on week are people that have had a positive COVID test that have died in that week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they might not have died of COVID.
Yeah.
Right? People can't understand the maths behind the comparison, that it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. All that's meaningful about the stats is the comparison week on week to see how it's progressing.
Yeah.
And they can't seem to understand that's what's involved rather than the absolute numbers.
I've seen a statistics that showed that if you take into consideration, going by that statistic, we were just the same as Italy or ever so slightly lower. And then if you took into consideration what they actually died by, then we were higher than that. There is a difference. But as Dave says, it's the progression moving forward. It's not that day. It's climate change, not weather, people.
Yeah.
Anybody have any final thoughts that they want to share real quick?
The long-term side effects that are affecting people are I don't want to say as bad as death, of course, but they're serious and people don't really understand what it is. Looking from a medical standpoint, when I look at somebody's x-rays or CTs and I see the fibrosis in their lungs, it's horrendous and it's long-term. Mm-hmm. So it's slightly anecdotal on this part, but I've got a friend who asked me to help build a cabin for them. It's just a couple of walls. I'm not a carpenter, but I can get in there and I'll bend my back. Sure. So he was lifting things like 2x4s, and the man is about 6'4", about 230 pounds or so. I mean, he's solid. Mm-hmm. But after about 3 moving himself and 3 2x4s, that's just a piece of lumber, he was winded enough that he had to sit down because he could see his spots in his eyes, and now that's going to be permanent. He is going to have permanent damage to his lungs, and it's not just the lungs, it's cardiovascular, it's kidneys, it's neurological, it's serious. So when we look at the vaccine, if we can prevent that, we should.
How are you going to deal with that in a country with no
healthcare?
They don't care. They don't care.
Bootstraps is how they're going to
everybody. Nobody cares about everybody in America.
But trust me when I say, like, my mother has COPD from she had breast cancer, and the radiation screwed up her lungs really bad. And she barely breathes. She has to use an albuterol thing, one of those vaporizer things, a few times a day. She just, it's so horrible. And she tells me all the time, she has a lot of health issues, but she says the worst thing of all is her, making it hard to breathe. She says there's nothing worse in the world than not being able to get enough oxygen in, that it's a horrible, horrible feeling. And just go get a coffee straw for a minute, try to breathe through it. It's not a good feeling. So, getting a rash or whatever, compared to, like Dr. Hobbs said, the long-term effects are horrifying, or there's just death. And we're going to continue to spread this, and we're going to continue to kill people. No, let's get on top of this. Let's listen to the actual scientists who are all saying, get the vaccine, wear your masks. Just do it.
Maybe we failed from a technology basis. Maybe we should have had more cameras in more rooms.
In the United States, we have HIPAA, which prevents that, but I still think that we should.
I think Seraph said, my grandmother was refusing to get vaccinated until she had friends that got really sick. And she was still iffy until my aunt and uncle. At the end of the day, I think every family should see them. The nearest person to them dying.
Well, you would think like the images of
if you want a
the
politician, if you want a conservative politician who is an evangelical against LGBTQ rights, give them a gay cousin.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that works, but you would think that the images of the mass graves and stuff like that, and having to use refrigerated trucks to store the bodies, that kind of thing, that would have meant something.
Dead people isn't emotive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, or it's not emotive enough, apparently. I wish I wasn't saying that, but it's what seemed the case. It's got to be suffering.
Well, we were having a 9/11 every day for how many months?
Yeah, a couple. It was a while, but not only did we get used to all the higher numbers of deaths, but again, it needs to be some kind of personal connection as well to really hit somebody. So, but with that being said, I want to thank everybody that came in the chat. Thanks for coming. And I would like to thank you guys. I would like to thank you guys, Brian, Steven, Dave, and Robbie. Thank you so much, especially Robbie for producing. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're just saying that because you forgot about me at the start. You have to make up at the end.
I didn't forget about you. You're just always here. Everybody knows who you are. That's it. That's all. Does anybody have anything coming up they would like to share real quick?
Dave?
I've got a new show with an awesome character. It's called Screw Loose News. And it starts, well, I don't know when it starts. Might not be for another couple of weeks.
Some Monday.
But
we're working on it.
Some Monday.
It'll be but a daily show during the week, and it'll be me and Dave. So it should be a lot of fun. Hope everybody checks it out. And it'll be on Dave's channel, so make sure everybody goes in the description and checks everybody out. Make sure if you're not following Dr. Hobbs on Twitter, seriously. He's brilliant, and he's also funny and very wholesome as well. Sometimes obnoxiously wholesome. But we love him, and he's part of this group now. So we're going to do these anti-science things probably once a month. So we hope that you come back.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I was joining greatly.
Awesome. I hope we didn't give you too much of a headache. That's all.
I'll go scream. It'll be all right.
So everybody have a good night.
Brian, have you anything you'd like to share?
I'm on the Perspective on Tuesday, so I'll be on there. That's our call-in show, and I should be streaming Saturday. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we'll get there. Yeah, so that's all.
Okay.
I'll have another small channel on tomorrow. Sunny Secular, 100 and so subscribers, so we'll give her a wee chance. We have noticed her on Twitter, so we'll have that tomorrow, and it should be a bit of fun. Get to know you, sort of thing.
Okay, awesome. All right. So everybody, don't forget, think critically. Night.